Hello, I'm Eileen and I work at marketing at DBTune. My talk is titled Setting Max Connection, Building Postgres User Groups that Bring People Together. I'm really excited to be here at Posette today. I'll be sharing some practical advice on how to create successful Postgres meetups. If you're interested in fostering thriving Postgres communities and creating interactive and fun small and large scale events, this talk is for you. Now, let's get started. We all know that setting the right max connection is crucial for a healthy and high-performing database. But what about the max connection of our community? Today, I want to explore how we can optimize those connections by building vibrant and effective Postgres user groups. Just as we tune our databases, we can also tune our communities for engagement, growth, and resilience. So let's discuss the parameters that make a Postgres user group thrive and how you can set them for maximum impact. And I'll also be answering your questions on Discord along the way. So here's a quick agenda on what we'll cover today. First, I'll talk about myself and a little bit about DBTune, where I work. We'll talk about community, what is community, the Postgres community, and the vital role of user groups. I'll also walk you through how we built the Malmo PostgreSQL User Group, or the M-PUG. And finally, I'll provide you with some actionable and practical tips on how you can create your own start your own successful Postgres user group. So I'm Ellie. Originally, I'm from Singapore, but right now I live in Malmo, Sweden. My journey has been a combination of technology, communications, entrepreneurship, and community building. I got my first job at ZDNet, an enterprise technology publication, and that was how I was first exposed to the world of technology. Later on, I moved into public relations, marketing, and communications for technology companies. I became really interested, and in 2021, during the COVID pandemic, I got a scholarship to study my master's in entrepreneurship and innovation from Lund University, and that's when I moved to Sweden. As an immigrant living in Sweden, I faced the challenge of forming my own community from scratch. This experience taught me the importance of creating meaningful connections and fostering a sense of belonging, especially in a new environment. I also started working for the school's communications and alumni relations, where I further learned about community building. And in 2022, I joined DBTune, where I worked in marketing. And this was also the year I learned more about Postgres, became more deeply involved with it and the ecosystem. Over the last 1.5 years, I got the privilege of contributing to many Postgres events and activities, sponsoring events, running booths at conferences, and being an organizer at the Malmo Postgres User Group. We just got our new logo couple of months ago. It's retro themed with the turning torso and the Postgres, the Sloanic logo, and I'm really excited about it. So all these experiences gave me a deeper appreciation for the power of community, and it's been very rewarding to see how collaboration drives innovation in the Postgres space. Here's a quick introduction of my company, DBTune. We are an AI-powered optimizer, tuning Postgres database configurations for top performance. Our technology is adaptive regardless of workload, machine size, and environment, whether it's on cloud or on-prem. We specialize in Postgres performance, helping companies optimize, scale, and reduce costs and get the most out of their databases. We just launched V2 of our product, where we have continuous monitoring, self-hosted deployment, tracking your configuration history, and always-on agent, and more. We are one of the top 20 sponsors of Postgres conferences, and we are also very deeply involved in the Postgres community, sharing our insights, and supporting user groups like M-PUG. So if you'd like to learn more about what we do, you can scan the QR code here and visit our website. Let's talk about what a community is and how it's formed. At its core, a community is a group of people who share common interests, values, and goals. Communities have existed for centuries, starting with early tribes that shared resources to survive, and then evolving through agricultural societies, cities, and now in digital spaces. They have always been very vital to human culture, helping people to connect and share knowledge and support one another. Communities are formed when people with a shared interest interact, whether it's online or in person, and they establish a sense of trust and mutual support. And over time, they can grow into more structured groups with events, resources, and a collective mission. This is how we see modern communities, especially in Postgres. Now, great ideas don't just happen in isolation. They emerge when people come together to share knowledge and solve problems. In The Wisdom of Crowds by James Surowiecki, it shows that groups make better decisions than individuals, especially when they bring diverse perspectives. If you look at this visual, it shows the evolution of decision making from one person to a diverse group. If you have a single expert, his or her knowledge is valuable, but it's limited by personal bias and a narrow view. With a group of experts, they bring some depth, but their perspectives alone cannot always drive innovation, and they are constrained by groupthink. And then we get to the crowd. This is called this is where you can get a diverse range of ideas, experience, and perspectives. In a tech group like Postgres, collaboration across this leads to better problem solving, innovative solution, and accurate decision making. The arrow on the right side also shows that as we move outwards, there's better decision making and, most importantly, enhanced innovation. That's why collaboration is so vital in Postgres. By drawing on the collective intelligence of everyone, we can fuel breakthroughs that drive the future of Postgres. And there's nowhere this phenomenon can be seen more evidently than in software development. Historically, software development was in closed source environment. The code is tightly controlled, limited contributors, innovation is slow, everything is confined to a few voices, and this really slowed down development and kept software isolated. But with open source software, everything changed. Open source can let anyone, anywhere to contribute to the software, and this increased the pace of innovation. And instead of a few contributors, there's now a global community of developers, just like the diverse crowd we talked about earlier. And now they can collaborate to create faster solutions. And Postgres is a prime example of this shift. If it was just constrained by a few contributors, it would face the same issues. But because it is open source, the project is now flourishing thanks to everyone all over the world working together to push it forward. Why is community so important to Postgres? Because it is not just a database, it is made by everyone. At the heart of the Postgres community, there's collaboration, transparency, and shared learning. It all started with a small group of developers and database enthusiasts working together to improve open source technology. But over time, this grew into a worldwide ecosystem with contributors of all backgrounds, developers, DBAs, users, advocates coming together to push Postgres forward. And today, the mission is to advance Postgres to support its continuous growth and innovation. Postgres' strength doesn't come from its technology, it comes from its people. And a strong and engaged community is what drives innovation, improves database, and ensures Postgres continues to evolve for the future. This is what makes us unique. We are a movement powered by collaboration. What's a Postgres user group? This is a community of enthusiasts in a city who come together to share knowledge, discuss best practices, and collaborate on projects. They are very important for fostering learning, innovation, and networking in the ecosystem. Some statistics. Today, there are 197 Postgres user groups worldwide, with over 97,000 members on Meetup alone. These user groups represent recognized and unrecognized user groups. And as of today, there are 67 officially recognized Postgres user group, which shows our reach and influence in supporting the database community. And where did they meet? This map was taken from Claire Giordano's presentation at PGConf in EU in Athens last year. As you can see, there are many groups in the US and Europe alone, highlighting the global reach of the community. Some of the most active Postgres user groups are in the US, Germany, France, Spain, and Sweden, where groups regularly meet for talks, workshops, and organize meetups. And this is why the community is so special. It's not just about database. It's about how passionate and welcoming and diverse these individuals are around the world. This was taken from Claire Giordano's Talking Postgres podcast, where she interviewed Daniel Gustafsson. And he said, he talked about his experience at his first conference and the essence of the community's welcoming spirit. Many attendees arrive as strangers, but leave feeling like they're part of a supportive network. And this is from a blog by Ryan Booth, a Postgres advocate at Redgate. In his blog in 2022, he observed that in the Postgres community, there are many opportunities to build upon its strong foundation. So what does it mean to be a recognized Postgres user group? First, your group needs to be officially listed on the Postgres website, and this makes it easier for new members to find you. Recognition comes from the Postgres Global Development Group, and beyond visibility, it gives you the resources, potential, sponsorship, and the ability to collaborate with other user groups. Before submitting for recognition, it's important to follow the user group guidelines over here. So first, your group needs to be focused on Postgres and not just a general database or tech group. It also needs to be public and inclusive, no NDA, no restricted access. You have to ensure a safe space. You should also follow a code of conduct that promotes respect and diversity. And then you have to have one event every 2 years, active engagement. And if your group receives sponsorship, you need to be transparent about it. For the full details, you can check out the Postgres user group policy. How do you get it recognized? So we talked about this in the step one. We already talked about it in the previous slide. Like follow the guidelines. The next step is to actually host an event and create like a portal where that publishes your event. And when you do that, you don't forget to host your event. Don't forget to take pictures and videos. And this shows to show proof that you have already had your event. This ensures that your group is contributing to the Postgres community. And finally, once you have all these, submit all the details to usergroup@postgres.org for approval. You can find the email here on this slide. Now, we formed the Malmo Postgres User Group last year. You can scan the QR code to join our user group. In a span of 5 months, we already have more than 120 members in our meetup, and we already had 6 meetups. Malmo is the third biggest city in Sweden. We saw an opportunity to develop this user group in Malmo, as there was already one in Stockholm and several technology groups here. A big part of growing any user group is bringing great content and having a diverse group of speakers. So we're always looking out for speakers and to join us to keep the community growing. If you are passing through Copenhagen or Malmo or somewhere in the Øresund region and have some time to come by, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. The first step was to find fellow organizers. So we managed to find myself, Luigi Nadi, Daniel Gustafsson, and Dennis Rilorin to join us and build a community. Next, we had to find a partner, and we found Full Cafe. This is a local event organization in Malmo that works with technology groups for meetups. By working with them, we get credibility and a location for our events. And I highly recommend this approach, partnering with local tech spaces or even existing software-related events to give your group a strong foundation. Finally, we created a meetup page with the Postgres logo and a description of who we are. After securing a space and partners, we had to decide on topics. We wanted to be sure we were picking something relevant for the community. So our very first talk, which Daniel Gustafsson volunteered to give, was on the Postgres project, creating the most advanced database. It was basically an introduction to Postgres, its community, and the database. Next, we had to promote the event to the local community. So we used social media, word of mouth, and our personal networks to spread the network and get event attendees excited about it. The benefit of doing it with a partner was the double promotion on both sides. So Full Cafe also sent out newsletters promoting the event. And our first event was a huge success with more than 45 attendees. And this is actually a lot for a relatively small city like Malmo. Since then, we've had like 5 more events, and the interest continues to be quite high, with about an average of about 20 to 30 people showing up each time. And over time, as your group matures, you can gradually become more independent. But partnerships will always be the collaboration, and collaboration will always be crucial to success. So now I want to give you a 5-step process on the things you need to think about when you organize events. So let's assume you already found fellow organizers and formed the group. And when organizing the Postgres user group, one of the first steps is to create an event page or like a landing page for attendees. You should have a space where you can consolidate everyone and keep them updated for upcoming events. So most people use Meetup and LinkedIn groups. Others you can consider are Eventbrite, where you can publish events, track attendance, and manage ticketing in one place. Facebook events, a little personal, but at least you can share it with some of your friends to show them where you are headed to. Slack and Discord, this has real-time engagement and communication, and several you can create channels and an interactive space as well. And also Telegram, where a lot of people are using right now, including for several Postgres events, where you can keep attendees updated on events and Postgres news. So in our case, we could find Full Cafe as a partner, but sometimes you can partner with companies that have already event spaces who looking to support the community. So it could be co-working spaces, tech hubs, even local companies in the Postgres ecosystem. So these partnerships will benefit both sides. The hosting organization gains visibility and you get the space and resources you need. And you should also look for partners that share your goals of fostering learning and networking. The next step would be the content and speaker planning. This is what keeps your community engaged and coming for more. So Postgres covers a wide range of areas, and it's important to focus on topics that resonate with your audience. You can do this by doing a search online, looking at forums, talking to your attendees, asking them what they like, whether it's performance tuning, high availability, new features, new products. Next, you should engage the speakers, like aim for a mix of voices, experienced people, new perspectives, diverse backgrounds, and always encourage your speaker to prepare because to rehearse and structure your talks in an engaging way. And lastly, the format and structure. Traditional talks, panels, live demos, and even networking sessions to match the format to your audience and your goals. To make sure the event runs smoothly, this is the next step. Think about event logistics. For the venue, choosing the right space is important. You should think about accessibility, size, location, as well as essentials like Wi-Fi, comfortable seating, and AV equipment. But if you decide to do a virtual one, use platforms like Zoom or Google Meet, something that is stable to help create a good experience and make sure that it's easy to use for everyone as well. You can use Slido and Mentimeter for like polls, Q&A, and discussions. And always make sure you record the session so you can make the content accessible for those who can't attend live. And lastly, there's food and socializing after the whole meetup. Nothing beats pizza, drinks, and networking. Also take their dietary preference into consideration. So make sure you always have a vegetarian or a vegan option. And lastly, it's also the meetup is not just about the content, and it's also about connection. Make sure no one gets left out. Try to introduce people and always talk to people who might be alone, standing alone. And so organizing a meetup is really exciting, but sometimes there are challenges. So one of it is low attendance. People might RSVP, but they don't show up. Then there's speaker cancellation, a last minute dropout. And even when people attend, they might if you do not keep them engaged, they might get bored, and then they will lose interest and they will stop coming for your meetup. And also sponsorship struggles or like partnership struggles. So these are common issues, but we have come up with some solutions for this and some ideas that you can explore. So for low attendance, you can send teaser videos and messages, or you can implement a waitlist system for people who always RSVP and don't show up. You can put them at the bottom of the waitlist. And you can also give perks to consistent attendees, such as content or like swags. And if a speaker doesn't show up, some formats you can explore are like show and tell lightning talk. So this is where people go on stage. Not the stage, like the front of the room to talk for 3 to 5 minutes on a Postgres tip or two or lesson. Or you can have community spotlight where users talk about their real world experiences and then some solutions. You can also keep a virtual speaker as a backup to make sure people are not bored. You can have some ideas you can explore as a community fix live problem solving. This is when somebody goes up and says, I have this problem, like, and then this is how and then everyone discusses how to resolve it together. Or you can put them in breakout discussions so that like in smaller groups, people might be more open and they feel safer to share and they can have deeper conversations. Or speed networking, like, so making people talk in for like 5 minutes and then or like 10 minutes and then moving on to the next one. And lastly, for partners, if you have partnerships struggle, there's like that you can offer logo visibility in exchange for venue space or partner with universities or research institutions. They usually have really nice spaces or vendors as well. So I would also love to hear from you guys of after your meetups, like what have you tried and whenever things there are unexpected challenges and what works best. So here's a case study. At one of our sessions, we faced a last minute dropout. The speaker canceled 10 minutes before the event and we only found out like when we got to the event space because he got sick. It was completely unexpected and like it was no one's fault. But so instead of canceling or scrambling, which is understandably is quite stressful, we simply asked the audience if anyone wanted to present. And to our surprise, some people actually stepped up and said that, oh, I can talk about this and that, or I already have a presentation at we had on hand. And one attendee actually shared that he knew a lot about the topic, which was Kubernetes. And he took the lead in answering the questions, and it turned out to be really interactive. Here's feedback from one of the attendee, and who eventually gave a talk at our user group. He said that he was actually preparing for a Kubernetes presentation the following week. And because of this discussion, he learned some new stuff and he could incorporate them into his presentation. Yeah. So this moment reinforced something important for us. Community driven events don't just rely on a speaker. Sometimes the best conversations happen when we let the group guide the discussion. Okay, and how do you know the event was successful? This is what we'll talk about in step 4. So look at attendance, how many people registered versus how many showed up. Engagement, were they actively participating in Q&A, discussions, the polls, post-event feedback? One thing I like to do is go to them during the networking session, ask them how they found it, do a quick verbal survey, and ask them what they like and didn't like, what did they learn, what did they want to hear next time, and continuous improvement. Make some adjustment based on past events and what didn't go well this event we should avoid in the next event. Another way to look at this is, which I like, it's called the Kirkpatrick 4 levels of evaluation. Where you look at the reaction. Did the attendees enjoy the event in learning? Did they gain new knowledge, behavior? Are they applying what they learned? And the results, what's the long-term impact? Are they going to contribute to Postgres in the future? So ultimately, measuring success helps us continuously improve and ensure each event is more valuable than the last. And finally, the work doesn't stop when people leave the door. So to maintain momentum, follow up with them by emails and social media, share the recordings, slides, and on platforms like Slack or Meetup or Discord. A single event isn't enough to build a community, so you need to think long term. And this means you must plan regular meetups like every 2 months or 3 months, or like send out newsletters to keep them engaged or encourage ongoing discussions. So the goal is to make a community a lasting and valuable space for learning and collaboration. Finally, I spoke to some experienced Postgres organizers on how we can enhance the planning of these user groups. So Andreas Scherbaum from the Berlin meetup group, he talked about the waiting list, which I suggested earlier, like move no-shows to the end of the waiting list. And this actually improved his attendance from 30% to 70%. He also takes the lead on taking pictures, asking speakers to share the slides, and writing a blog on it. Hari Kiran from the Hyderabad Postgres group, he says he engages experts directly or like in local tech groups and LinkedIn. He also gives speakers the flexibility to decide on talks. And Andrea Cucinello from the Barcelona Postgres User Group, he talks about expanding the meetups by connecting with related communities, like the Kubernetes or the cloud native one for cross promotion. So, if I could summarize 3 takeaways for you. First, work with a partner to spread and the right platform to spread the word of your user group. The right partner with similar goals, such as Full Cafe, can open the right doors for you and provide you with marketing and logistics support. Use the platforms to announce your events, keep the momentum going. Next, implement effective attendance strategies, adjust for no-shows, manage wait lists, keep an eye on registrations, share the materials to add value, and keep the interest alive long after the event is over, and plan for sustainable growth. Build a foundation with recurring events, maintain communications through newsletters, regular updates, foster a welcoming community environment that encourages continuous learning, collaboration, and the sharing of knowledge. So by focusing on these strategies, you can build a thriving and engaged community that continues to grow and thrive in years to come. Lastly, I want to leave you with this thought. Postgres wouldn't be where it is today without its community. And every great event, great contributor, and innovation starts with people. So I know that organizing a user group sounds like a lot of work, but in my experience, it's actually really fun and rewarding. And I got to meet many interesting people, learn more about new Postgres topics, and connect with amazing speakers. And it's also about giving back, helping others while growing your own skills and network. So I encourage to think about how you can get involved. How will you contribute? If your city doesn't have a Postgres group, could you start one? If you have attended events before, how will you improve them? Or maybe you can volunteer to organize, speak at an event, or bring a new idea to your local Postgres group. Every small contribution makes a big impact. And at the end of the day, it's not just about running events, it's about being part of something bigger, a movement. The more you share, and the stronger Postgres becomes. Thank you so much for your time and attention today. I hope you found the session useful and you are feeling inspired to create your own Postgres event or contribute to the Postgres community. See you